Hey guys, welcome. Today we're going to talk about the 5 things you need to know if you're deciding to do a plant-based diet versus getting your protein source from animal proteins. What is a protein? So proteins are amino acids. They are the building blocks of the body's components, anywhere from our muscles to the enzymes to the neurotransmitters, and it affects the hormones as well. So it is the building block. And protein can actually boost our metabolism up to 25%. It has a direct impact on how you feel. Our body requires 23 different amino acids, 9 of which we cannot make within our body. So we need to make sure we're getting it through our food. This is why it's so important to eat a large variety of food. So we're making sure that we're filling that gap and getting in those 9 essential amino acids through the different food that you eat. Now, it's your decision, and after contemplating this video, you'll have a better idea about what works best for you, whether it is plant-based or whether it's animal-based. The quality of the protein is determined by the balance of amino acids. So, complete proteins in nature is your meat, your poultry, your chicken, your cheese, your eggs, your milk. All of these are complete as is. If you're looking at plant-based options, we usually need to couple it with another plant-based option in order to have it be complete, where you're meeting the quality of everything that you need in the amino acids. A complete protein is better absorbed, so it can actually be utilized. So this is why it's important to make sure that you're balancing and getting a complete protein. So you need smaller quantities of it to be nourished. So with our plant-based options that aren't complete, aren't whole in nature, you can combine it with something that it is. For example, soy is missing methionine, which if you combined it in addition with a whole grain, a nut, a seed, a bean, then it can make that protein whole. Let's talk about a plant-based diet and common sources of food so you can determine if this feels like a good fit for you. So common sources of protein for a plant-based diet include legumes such as beans, lentils, and peas, nuts and seeds such as chia, flax, and almonds, whole grains such as quinoa, brown rice, and oats, vegetables such as broccoli and kale and spinach, and plant-based powders such as hemp or pea protein are commonly used to substitute protein in a plant-based diet. Some of the benefits that are included in eating a plant-based diet is that you're eating a diet lower in saturated fats. I recommend at least less than 10 grams of saturated fats in your diet. It is rich in fiber and it is packed with minerals and vitamins. And this then leads into some of the challenges. So some of the challenges are it is not always convenient or available to you to eat a plant-based diet. What I find oftentimes when people jump into a plant-based diet is they start eating more fats and more carbohydrates. This is actually leaves them feeling less fulfilled, less satiated, less energy, and they end up craving more and more carbs and fat and feeling more and more into the food addiction. So on the other side of, while yes, eating the legumes, eating the whole grains, being intentional with eating a ton of vegetables and eating a variety, if you're not that intentional and you're not focused on getting that complete protein, it may lead you feeling more lethargic, weight gain, and not feeling your best self. Oftentimes when we take out a food group and try to replace it, unless you're doing it really well, intentionally, with some focus, then it can quickly lead to the downward slope of eating white rice and eating breads and pastas and cheeses and other things that are not really fulfilling the body in the same way than eating this plant-based vegetable, rich in whole grains. And so I see, due to the variety and I see due to the lack of availability, that people will end up going down a slippery slope in eating plant-based and actually being more nutrient depleted. Next, let's dive into the animal-based diet for your protein. So you're going to be eating meat, chicken, fish, beef, pork, fish, salmon, tuna, shrimp, your dairy products, milk, cheeses. You want to make sure that these are unpasteurized. And if it has been pasteurized because you can't get it any other way, then it's best to be buying organic. Eggs, and protein powders. So in this, all of our animal sources of meat definitely needs to be organic, free from antibiotics and different hormones. You guys, our animal, our beef industry, our food industry, chicken, beef, all of it has been pumped with so many drugs. It's actually where most of the money goes for antibiotics, and the drug company is actually into the animals that we're eating. So that's why it's so important to make sure that we're getting clean sources of protein if you are eating an animal-based diet. Some of the benefits of eating an animal-based diet is that it is complete in amino acids. So we don't have to worry about stacking it with the right food groups. In addition, it has high bioavailability, and it is rich in essential nutrients such as B12, iron, and zinc. It is also great for muscle building and recovery. So, what I see oftentimes with people who are eating an animal based diet is they tend to eat more protein than people who are not eating animal based and more plant based. So it's not like they're eating too much carbohydrates and too much fats. They have a little bit more of a balance between their macronutrients. Some of the challenges for eating an animal-based diet include it's a diet that could be higher in saturated fats and cholesterol. And I always am careful when I start to get into this topic because previously it's been taught to us that if you eat a diet high in cholesterol, that means you're going to have high cholesterol, or if you eat high saturated fat, then you're going to have a heart attack, which just really isn't true. There's so many other things that come into play with cholesterol and saturated fat, are stressors and other impacts than if we are just eating cholesterol and saturated fat. Other challenges include environmental factors and ethical concerns for people who are concerned about the animal's welfare, and also factory farming. Factory farming, guys, is really a sad practice. If you've ever seen videos of how they're just um, not taking care of the animals, which they were then eating. And so being mindful about where you're getting your protein sources from, how they're treating the animals, and that of course impacts your health, because if these animals are not being treated well and they're getting a lot of disease, then they have to continue to put antibiotics in them. And antibiotics for animals is the number one place where all the antibiotics from pharmaceuticals is going. And it's been seen and studied that by giving these animals antibiotics, it's a way to fatten them up. So if you yourself are not taking antibiotics, but you're having troubles with the gastrointestinal tract and the GI lining, and so you're having all the different signs and symptoms. If you're not sure if you have these issues with GI or leaky gut, then you're going to want to see one of my other videos. Here it's floating above, where I get more into gut dysbiosis. But that literally can be caused by eating foods where the animals have been given the antibiotics. So not necessarily that you're taking them, but that you're ingesting the animals that have been fed them and pumped with antibiotics. So I would say in an animal-based diet, it is essential that this is where you spend your extra dollars, for it to be organic, for these animals to be free range, for them to be able to be pasture raised, as we know then that they're taking care of with care, and not being pumped with different antibiotics, which are then getting into your body and then causing issues with your health. So the challenges there also could be you're at risk for different cancers or autoimmune diseases because of this inflammation response. This wouldn't be the case if our animals were allowed to be free range, roaming, and finding their own natural food sources. So this is why when I buy beef, I make sure that it is free The cows have free range, they're able to be grass fed. Same thing with the chickens, that they can be out foraging, digging in the dirt. We live in Hawaii, so we can watch how the chickens do it. They walk around, they peck in the dirt, they eat the grubs, they eat the bugs, instead of being forced in these little cages where they're just fattened up with antibiotics and feed. And their feed coming from grains that are also sprayed with glyphosate. So we want to be mindful about not only what you're eating, but what you're eating is eating, and that impact it has on your body. Let's take a nutritional comparison of the amino acid profiles for the plant-based versus the animal-based diets. So, looking at the plant-based option, we have now talked about how these are actually lacking and they're not complete proteins as is. So we need to combine the different food groups in order to get that complete protein and get the essentials that your body needs. It is possible to do, obviously, combining the beans in addition to the grains and just being mindful of that in each of your meals. But it does take a little bit of planning and effort to think about doing that. In comparison, the animal sources are complete in nature, meaning that they are perfectly ready, bioavailable for us to have muscle repair, regrowth, which is great for our body because we can then, that impacts our hormones, our neurotransmitters, the regrowth of the muscles, and everything in the body. So not saying that that's not possible going the plant-based, it just means that we need to be mindful that we're combining the right food groups so we can have a complete protein source. Now let's look at the micronutrient content of the vitamins and minerals between the two. So plant-based proteins are rich in vitamins in C, E, and K, and minerals such as magnesium and potassium. They oftentimes lack vitamin B12, iron, and zinc, which are more bioavailable in animal products. Animal-based proteins are high in bioavailable iron, heme iron, vitamin B12, and zinc. And these nutrients are crucial for blood health, immune function, and overall energy levels. There was a case study, the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, that was published researching and highlighting that vegetarians and vegans might be at risk for vitamin B12 deficiency, which is crucial for neurological function and blood formation. So my whole concern and I guess holistic approach is to maybe have a combination of both. If you really are mindful in the plant-based diet and making sure you're consuming iron through other nuts and seeds, then this might not be a concern for you. But if you are just negating and cutting out animal proteins with no thought about all these other areas, then it definitely could be concerning and ensuring that you're getting all the essential nutrients that your body needs. The second piece I want to look at is the health impact comparison. So, looking at our animal sources, both short-term and long-term, studies have shown that it has a positive impact on the body. This is due to eating a diet high in minerals and vitamins and fiber. So with those components, you can actually help increase the digestive system, help heal the body from inflammation, and that's where the plant-based diet shines. There's research from Nutrition Reviews that states that by eating a plant-based diet, it helps with satiety, carb cravings, and so you have a bigger impact on weight loss, which has an impact on your overall health and wellness. Animal protein sources have got a bad rep for saturated fats in addition to cholesterol. This is where I step in with my own observation as I study different diets and what happened in trends in our world. At the same time that fat and animal sources had started to get a bad rep as a concern for heart disease and certain cancers, there was also the introduction of a new chemical that had never really been used before. Do you know what that was? Sugar is the answer. So yes, we made protein be the evil food, we make fats be the evil food, and saying this is bad and causing heart disease. But really, what caused that spike in the curve was the introduction of sugar and fake fats on the market. It wasn't coming from our real sources of fat from our animal sources. So debunking that and starting to see that it wasn't just fat in a silo coming from our animal sources of protein, it was really the combination of in bringing in sugar into the American diet. And that really was the spike of autoimmune diseases, of diabetes, and heart diseases that caused this huge spike. So this is why when I talk about nutrition with plant sources and animal sources, I see if yes, you could stick to just vegetables and just whole grains and have the right combination of the food groups, that is definitely beneficial for fiber. But also, I see the limitation in the challenges that oftentimes people face with not having enough variety in their diet, so they end up eating more of the processed foods, which leads to more of the issues with health, metabolic issues, diabetes, because they're eating more carbohydrates and fats. Next, let's talk about the carbon footprint. So research has been shown that eating plants and growing plants has less and needs less resources than growing and raising animals. So with that being said, it has less of an impact on the environment around us to eat an animal-based diet. In terms of land and water usage, it does require less land and less water to farm food for a plant-based diet. So lentils obviously require a lot less water and land to grow than raising beef or cows. So in this area, it definitely is more sustainable for us to grow plants versus animals. Some of the ethical considerations for animal versus plant-based is what we're going to talk about next. So obviously with plants, there's not an ethical concern like there is for animals, both in how the animals are being treated in these different farms, I should say, where the animals are really sick. They're not given a place to free roam and to do what they do in nature. So here in Hawaii, the pigs are roaming free. They're allowed to go and eat grubs and bugs and fruits from the trees, and they live really free in a healthy way rather than being put in a pen and being fed plastic or chemicals or waste that we then consume. Same things for these chickens and even the fish, the amount of antibiotics that's dumped into the water because they're farmed so close together that it's not healthy for the fish. They end up getting different diseases. So one of the ways to cut down on this and to have more ethical raising of the animals is to buy organic, to look for free range, to allow these and support these practices where the animals are being nourished and taken care of in a way that is natural and it is whole to their normal environment, so they're not being put in these different situations. In the fifth piece, I want to talk about these considerations of these two diets and its impact on fertility. So with an animal-based diet, some of the potential benefits include easily absorbable iron, such as heme iron, zinc, and B12, which are crucial for reproductive health. And adequate protein intake from animal sources can actually support muscle mass and overall physical health, which is beneficial for fertility. Some of the challenges are high intake of red or processed meats has actually been linked and to reduced fertility in both women and men, and potentially due to higher levels of saturated fat and exposure to hormones and antibiotics in meat. Some of the benefits of a plant-based diet includes foods rich in folate, antioxidants, vitamins, fiber, which are all helpful for our reproductive health. Foods rich in folate, vitamin C, and fiber can actually improve ovulation and sperm quality. Some of the challenges, though, is ensuring that you're getting adequate amount of protein, and also getting the essential nutrients such as iron and zinc and B12, which are all essential, as deficiencies in these areas can negatively impact our fertility. So, regardless of what you decided based on this video, an animal based protein or a plant based protein, let's talk about some practical tips for you to start to implement. So, if you decided based on this information that plant based is best for you, then let's make sure you're getting the complete amino acid profile. So, what that looks like is combining beans or lentils in combination with the brown rice to have a complete protein. Make sure that you're getting about 20 grams of protein in each meal, if not more, depending on some of your health goals. Make it a mindful approach to incorporate protein at every one of your meals, because oftentimes I see that is the hardest thing when you step into a plant-based diet, and ensuring that you're getting enough protein throughout the day. This will impact your energy levels, this will impact your reproductive health, this will impact your body and how well it's going to heal from different sicknesses. It can impact your hormonal health and your neurotransmitters, not feeling like you're clear-headed throughout the day. So with a mindful approach and trying your best to get a variety of foods, getting the sources of protein from your vegetables, from your whole grains, from your legumes, can be very beneficial for you. In terms of animal proteins, this is important to recognize that your sources are clean sources, so that you're eating organic, you're eating grass-fed, you're eating free-range animals, because what they're eating does impact your body. So we want to make sure that you're not having high inflammatory foods in your body. In addition, I strongly recommend that if you're eating an animal-based diet, you also incorporate getting tons of vegetables and a wide variety of food, so you're not just consuming just a steak for dinner. You're also getting the vitamins and minerals and fiber that you could benefit from eating the plant-based diet. I see it beneficial for you to tamper in and to experience both worlds, and recognize and notice what fuels your body, where you feel you have the most energy that's sustainable, how you recover, and take notice to your signs and symptoms in your body and your digestive tract, because these signs and symptoms are giving you information about what's happening in the rest of your body. A personal story that I have is our multiple people living in Hawaii, where every single diet is possible here. We have friends who eat raw meat diet only. We have friends who eat plants only. We have friends who are fruitarians. We have friends who are vegan, but sometimes eat eggs. We have seen it all on this island. And the limitations that I see are really for each person and their ability to be mindful about having the all of the nutrition that they need in each meal. So think about this. Each meal should contain a fat, fiber, and protein. When we're eating a carbohydrate, we want to make sure we're pairing that with a fat, fiber, or protein, so our blood sugar isn't just spiking and dropping. Oftentimes I see this when people go to a vegetarian or vegan diet, that they end up eating quick and easy carbohydrates, but they're not pairing it with the fiber, fat, and protein. So they'll have energy highs, energy lows, energy highs, and energy lows all day long. And so it's that sustained energy. I also see that it comes with different mineral deficiencies, which can manifest in different ways in their body. So fatigue, not feeling the best, not feeling like they have sustainable energy, hormones out of whack. And so it does impact the whole body. If you decide to go the route of introducing animal-based diet, then we want to make sure that we're also taking the goods of the plant-based. So eating your vegetables too, eating your whole grain options as well. So one serving of our plant-based protein, like chicken, it would fill the palm of your hand, so 3 to 4 ounces. Sometimes what I see for people who are really heavily sourced in the animal-based area is they'll eat so much protein and fat, and then they don't really leave room for the vitamins and minerals and fiber that comes in our leafy greens, our vegetables, and our fruits. So using our food as medicine, literally actually using our food as our medicine to fuel our body and paying attention to how the body is responding to the food that you're putting in is so important for optimal health. I don't believe that everybody is one way. I don't believe that there is one right diet for everyone, but I do believe that having a balanced approach and having variety actually helps with satiety, actually helps with cravings, actually helps with your metabolism. And if we're eating enough protein in our body, we literally can increase the metabolism by 25%. That's a huge number, guys. So whether it's plant-based or whether it's animal-based, this is up to you to decide. This is up for you for trial and error. And this is up for you to see how your body responds to the different foods that you're putting in there. But notice, in this whole conversation, not once do we mention sugar, candy, processed foods. We were only talking about real food. And at the end of the day, if you decide to get your real food from plant sources, or if you decide to get your real food from animal sources, either way, you're eating real food, and that's ultimately what matters and how your body's going to function its best. So all of the things that I mentioned today are actually food. Did you notice that? It was all food. It was tuna, pork, beef, chicken, lentils, beans, broccoli, cauliflower. You know where it is. It wasn't a foreign chemical substance. No matter which route you lean into, with either animal-based protein or plant-based protein, as long as it's coming from whole food, you can ensure that your body is going to respond in a good way. Once we start adding in fake food in our diet, fake food meaning there's no nutrition in it, but it's high in calories. Fake food meaning it's put on the shelf in the grocery store as an option to eat, doesn't mean we should eat it. So you try this on. Like, become a student yourself. Try on the hat yourself and see, oh my gosh, when I eat chicken one time a day, I actually feel more satiated than if I were to just be eating beans today, beans and rice. Or, oh, I do notice a limitation. I'm actually sick of eating beans and rice, the thing that I eat every single day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what can I do? Let's add in some more variety. That might be an opportunity for you to add in some variety, especially if your goal is for optimal health and for sustainability. As a life coach for 15 years, I have seen that what works is something that is sustainable. And I can tell you what doesn't work is something that is not sustainable. So if you're stepping into a new practice, such as a plant-based diet, because you think it's going to be better for you, if it's not sustainable, it's not better for you. So do the thing that's sustainable. Start to crowd out the not food. That's the most important step you can take. Start to crowd out the not food. So that means add in more of the good stuff. Add in more of the lentils, of the beans, of the chicken, of the eggs. Add in more of the good stuff, crowding out the not food, crowding out the stuff that's been manufactured in plants that has some type of ingredient list that's hundreds of items long on the back of the package. Crowd that out and put in some of these things we've talked about. Put in the cabbage, put in the broccoli, put in the kale, put in the lentils, put in the beans, put in the chicken, put in the beef. And start to notice how you feel, your energy levels, and recognize how the body is starting to heal. For some people, we step into the heal route before we step into the ideal. So if your body is in a state of dis-ease, it might make more sense temporarily to drop into a protein plant-based diet, as it is less taxing on the liver to break it down. And then once we get the body in the state of ease, we can step into the ideal diet. So all this to say, there isn't one way, and there doesn't have to be. And every body is unique. Everybody's lifestyle, everybody's things that they've encountered, the environmental aspects, their biological blueprint is different than yours. And so we're making sure that you're eating for your own health. And the most important piece out of all this is to take the oath and put it in the front of your mind and to start to let our food be our medicine. And if you're eating with that intention of letting your food be your medicine, whether you decide an animal-based diet or whether you decide a plant-based diet, it will be helpful for you. It will feed you in a way that's positive, that is going to help you decrease inflammation, as long as there's that mindfulness behind it. So if you're not doing this before, you've never done this in your life, then I'm going to give you a little bit of a piece of homework. And the homework is this. It's to start to actually measure how much protein you're eating. Are you over consuming protein? Are you under consuming protein? If we could get more of a balance between the macros, getting 30% of protein in our diet, and or more if you're looking to build muscle, if you're looking for more recovery, then we need to add in more protein. If you're carrying a baby, we need to add in more. And being more mindful about having our nutrition sources coming from our protein and helping with satiety, helping those building blocks of amino acids so we can live in our most vibrant life, so we can be in our best health. Thank you guys so much for joining here. If you want, check out that video on gut dysbiosis. Figure out what the signs and symptoms in your body are telling you about your gut health. Figure out the cause. Figure out the solution so you can start to have your best health and you can start to heal the system so you can step into your ideal health. This is Carly Schroeder, functional nutrition coach with Roots in Fertility. I'm so grateful to have you here. Like and subscribe. Join my freeschool.com/roots free community for hundreds of hours of content that's just available for you to digest at your own pace and time.